than anyone else can.
The question now is whether Jordan can still inflict the kind of pain that made him otherworldly. In Chicago, I'm John Giano.
You know what helps him, though? He still has the Jordan mystique and the psychological advantage, I think, over younger players.
Oh, really? So you think that he still can have that intimidation factor on the court?
Definitely. Absolutely.
All right, we'll see. Kara Phillips, though, covering the news today. Hi, Kara.
Hi, Carol. At 5'4" and 5'1" you are, he'd intimidate us, don't you think? You wouldn't intimidate Vince, though.
No problem.
There you go.
Yeah, you would.
All right, guys, let's look at the stories that are happening right now. Off the court, researchers say those stem cell lines approved for federal funding won't last forever. President Bush has approved federal funding now for 64 stem cell lines. But National Academy of Sciences panel says new lines will be needed as the old lines age or are corrupted by experiments. Sport utility vehicles dominate the highways, but are they safe? The Insurance Institute is releasing new data from a round of high-speed crash tests on mid-size SUVs. We'll bring you live coverage of the findings about an hour and a half from now. Secretary of State Colin Powell is making his first visit to Latin America since taking office. He's meeting with officials in Colombia today, showing support for the embattled government, and it's been struggling with drugs and a civil war, as you know. More on that now from CNN State Department correspondent Andrea Kopp.
Almost 1 year after the United States agreed to spend $1.3 billion to help Colombia fight its drug war, both governments claim the effort is paying off. The U.S. says 120,000 acres of coca plantations have been sprayed, and 34,000 farmers have agreed to replace their coca plants with legal crops. Still, much of the U.S. military equipment has yet to arrive. To date, only 3 of 16 Black Hawk helicopters, which Colombian troops need to fight drug traffickers, are in use. So the Colombian government says the real work of Plan Colombia, designed to rid the country of drugs and end the civil war, has only begun.
This is a long-term issue that requires an integrated approach, that requires the support of the world community and the work of the Colombian people, as well as the work of people in this country to solve it. Is for the good of all of us.
Complicating matters, the drug traffickers, leftist guerrillas like the FARC and ELN, who use profits from the drug trade to fuel the civil war, have refused to come to the peace table. And while Colombia's president, Andres Pastrana, has tried for 3 years to negotiate peace, his term ends next summer.
Despite the fact that Pastrana is not going to be able to get his peace process by the time he leaves office. You know, it's like the Middle East. You don't look for an easy solution, but you also look for a process to continue.
Secretary of State Powell's trip to Colombia this week is meant to underscore U.S. support for Colombia's drug war and its president.
But privately, Powell's aides worry about what will come of Plan Colombia and the hundreds of millions the U.S. has invested in it once Pastrana leaves office. Said one Powell aide, "We want to make sure our assistance pays off." Andrea Koppel, CNN, at the State Department.
Well, it's primary election day in some cities and states. In New York City, 4 Democrats and 2 Republicans want Rudy Giuliani's job as mayor. Giuliani has served his 2 terms, the limit in New York. In Massachusetts, the late Congressman Joe Moakley's House seat is the prize. 7 Democrats and 2 Republicans are fighting for those nominations. And in Cincinnati, 2 men who once shared a local TV news anchor desk, current Mayor Charlie Luken and Curtis Fuller, are the front-runners in the city's first nonpartisan primary for mayor. This reverses the career switch of Jerry Springer, who was the first Cincinnati mayor and then became a TV star. Hey, we got options, Vince.
I don't know. If Springer, with all the bones in the closet there, I think we could run.
Oh, we could talk about bones in the closet, couldn't we?
Not right now.
All right.
Thank you,
See
Kara.
you later.
All right. This week is traditionally the peak of hurricane season. We're doing a series of reports we call the Eye of the Storm. Today, evacuation gridlock. We'll start with CNN's John Zarella, who's in the Florida Keys live this morning. John is with us. Good morning, John.
Morning, Vince. Let me tell you, emergency managers and hurricane forecasters will always tell you can run from the water and you can hide from the wind. That means you've got to get out of the way for storm surge, but you can usually hide from the wind. But let me show you the Florida Keys here. This is Isla Mirada. That's the only way out of the Florida Keys. That one road, it's a 2-lane road. So here in the Florida Keys, you've got to run from the water and run from the wind, both. You really don't have a whole lot of options. But no matter where you live, if you are ordered to evacuate, it may be far more difficult than you think. As Hurricane Floyd moved north along the Atlantic coast, cars didn't move at all. 2 years ago, Floyd triggered the largest evacuation in U.S. history. From Florida to the Carolinas, millions left their homes, only to sit in gridlock.
It's taken us 4.5 hours to go 8 miles.
Many weren't asked or ordered to leave, but were afraid to stay. They added to the bumper-to-bumper mess. Floyd weakened before striking land, but next time might be different.
I really fear that someday we're going to have people stuck in their cars in a gridlock as the core of a major hurricane moves on shore. If they're stuck in their car and that storm surge comes in, they'll be lost alive from drowning.
Hundreds, perhaps thousands, Mayfield fears. Storm surge is a wall of water, sometimes 50, even 100 miles long and perhaps 20 feet high. It sweeps inland as the eye of a hurricane makes landfall. And since the average error in forecasting hurricane landfall is 100 miles, no one knows where the worst storm surge will hit.
Again, in 24 hours, I can't tell if it's going to hit here or down here somewhere.
That's why emergency managers over-evacuate.
I've got to worry about the southwest quadrant.
August 22nd, 2000. Hurricane Debbie is close enough to the Florida Keys that emergency manager Billy Wagner is worried. He's come to the National Hurricane Center in Miami for the latest information.
The thing is, I need to respond to a major hurricane. I can't.
Within minutes, Wagner learns evacuation is not possible. The only 2 roads out of the Keys are blocked.
I have a jackknife truck on Card Sound and a tanker truck that they got to drill holes in to offload the fuel on US 1.
The next day, the road's cleared. Wagner orders a Phase 1 evacuation, tourists and non-residents. Then Hurricane Debbie unexpectedly falls apart.
As Carla moves slowly in from the Gulf.
A generation ago, evacuation worked pretty well.
Back in the 40s and 50s and 60s, if we gave people 12 hours of warning, that was sufficient.
Not anymore. There are simply too many people, too many cars, often more than the roads can handle. Many cities now plan to make highways one way out, but experts say that's not a solution.
What I'm saying is every new community that goes up, whenever you give the permitting process for this development, they ought to be required to have a shelter right on site.
So for now, evacuation gridlock remains the nightmare scenario. So much so, one Florida county is looking for a spot along Interstate 75. A parking lot of last resort, where people stuck in their cars can pull into and hopefully survive the big one. If you're ordered to evacuate, the one piece of advice, evacuate early. Do not wait until the last minute and risk getting stuck in gridlock. This is John Zarella reporting live from Isla Mirada in the Florida Keys.
All right, thank you very much, John Zarella. Wow. Great pictures there to illustrate the power of the storm. We remind you, tune in Sunday for a special hurricane report when the big one hits. Sunday, 10 p.m. Eastern Time on CNN Presents.
All right, but surely Dave Hannon's looking out on the horizon, seeing if there's any hurricane action out there. What's it looking like, Dave?
There is indeed hurricane action today. Fortunately, though, this big hurricane, Aaron, is going to move away from the U.S. Winds at one point yesterday up to 120 miles per hour. You see the eye of Hurricane Aaron, and look how close it is to the coast. The thing that's going to happen, though, is this frontal system moving off the East Coast is going to pick up the hurricane and begin to move it a little bit farther off towards the east. In fact, it is now moving north. It was moving northwest yesterday, so that turn has already begun. Winds still pretty strong, though, 90 miles per hour sustained. It is forecast to continue, though, as we said, though, to push away from land. In fact, not expected to affect the Canadian Maritimes either, moving into the North Atlantic. That's what we're expecting with that storm. We are watching another storm, too. This is Tropical Depression number 7, which is located way out in the Atlantic. Same story here. This storm is forecast to go north through the island. So either storm, not a forecast threat to land. We are watching the Gulf of Mexico, though. We've been talking about all that heavy rain in Florida. That system we'll have to keep a close eye on. Vincent Carroll?
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you, David.
Hey, Fashion Week in New York. Big deal. We get to see a preview of all those fashions out there, but you don't have to be skinny as a rail to appreciate this next segment with CNN's Gail O'Neill.
Hey, Gail.
That's right, Joey. Coming up, we'll take you behind the scenes at the Liz Lang Maternity Wear Show. Take a look. That's coming up right after the break.
Well, it's nice to see you all. It really, really is. Isn't it, honey?
Oh, yes. We must do this more often.
Thanks for coming.
Where will you find the money to pay for long-term care? Conseco long-term care insurance protects you so you don't lose your nest egg. Conseco, step up.
Yippee!
Yes! We are in the sweet spot now, baby.
Give me five. There is no stopping us now.
This
the sky
market
is the limit.
incredible.
NASDAQ. They expect the NASDAQ to surge above 6,000.
Rather than feel nostalgic for days gone by, a Merrill Lynch financial advisor can help reallocate your portfolio to better navigate today's up and down market.
Isn't even close to running out.
So while we can't bring back the past,
NASDAQ 10,000.
we can make the future something to look forward to.
We can expect in the coming months is Director of Product Development, Paul Noon.
Got it. Nortel Networks is building the new high-performance internet, the wireless internet, with optical technology that makes it faster.
Overall, this has been an
and
exciting
more
year.
reliable.
But the next few months will mark the beginning of a new Gesundheit.
Come together.
In fact, with technology changing
over me.
I remember 20 years ago how it turned the racing world upside down. First by introducing the race car with quattro all-wheel drive, and second by having a woman driving.
Leather, lace, and everything in between. It is all moving down the catwalk at Fashion Week in New York. And CNN's Gail O'Neill has been braving the crowds to see what some of us, at least, are going to be wearing, maybe the most pregnant of us. Morning, Gail.
Morning, Carol. I'll tell you, this is the biggest media crush I've seen so far, and it's all over maternity wear. I'm backstage at the Liz Lang Maternity Show, and it's rock and roll back here. We have media from all over the world. There's been huge buzz surrounding the show. Personally, I'm most excited about this show. Here we have the designer, Liz Lang herself, and several of her models who you can see are actually with child, very pregnant. Liz, tell me, why is it so important for women to shop for this very small window of their lives?
Because you know what? It's not such a small window. It's 9 months, and then it's a few months when you're trying to get your body back. And it's, you're talking about almost a year. Why would a woman want to take a year off of looking fashionable, feeling pretty, feeling great, feeling sexy? She needs to celebrate this time.
Tell me what women's pet, well, actually, I'm going to ask a pregnant woman, what has your pet peeve been when shopping for maternity wear?
I think finding something that fits well. When you're not pregnant, you're always looking for something that fits the body, and then when you're pregnant, all of a sudden, everything's huge everywhere, and you really only need huge in a few areas, and that's why Liz Lang has done such a great job to make it hip and chic, and, your life continues. This whole year, you still have to work, you have to work out. I'm a professional tennis player, and Liz Lang created a line for Nike, and it's so fantastic because I can keep doing my aerobics, my yoga, and tennis.
And looking good while you're doing it. Now tell me, how do women feel when they're wearing maternity clothes that are tent-like with the Peter Pan collars, and how does that fly?
It doesn't actually. Liz Lang's clothing fly because they complement the body, your skin, and there's never ending when you can look younger. You can be 30 and look younger, you can be 40, it doesn't matter, and here we are.
And you don't mind hiding, or you don't want to hide anything, do you?
No, I love showing it off. I think it's beautiful. I feel really grateful and lucky that, I don't have to go through what my mother went through, or she kind of had to hide out at home in a tent. I can just walk around and show it off, and people, especially New Yorkers, they really like it. I get so many comments and smiles on the street, and it's really nice.
I have a feeling they're smiling back in Atlanta. Liz, ladies, thank you very much. I'm so excited about this show. Back to you, Carol.
Hey, Gail, can you take some of these clothes after you're pregnant and tailor them down so you can wear them on, just any old day?
Absolutely. Carol wants to know if you can wear these clothes only when you're pregnant, or can we wear it after? I would wear that dress tomorrow.
Absolutely, you can wear these clothes afterwards. Case in point, I had a baby 11 months ago. I'm in my own Liz Lang knit top. I expect these girls to wear these clothes afterwards. They stretch with you when you're pregnant, and they stretch right back when you're not. They should be great.
And Carol, they are colorful, they're contemporary, there's nothing Wilma Flintstone about them.
None
I loved
at all.
Lucy, but we don't want to look like that anymore when we're pregnant.
All right, hey, this is New York City you're talking about. Do people actually walk down the streets like that woman in the black and white top?
Do women actually walk down the street like you in New York City?
Well, I have. My husband tells me to put more clothes on, but I do it, when I feel comfortable, not, in crowded places. But I think it's great.
You know what? She actually said to me earlier that she's a little bit shy, and I said, you're shy and you're going on TV in front of millions of people and walking down this runway? She's not shy about walking down a runway, but very shy about doing this in New York City. Go figure.
Yeah, I
She's
can tell how
brave.
shy she is. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Gail. Gail O'Neill
Thank
from
you.
Fashion Week in New York. We'll be right back.
CNN Live at Daybreak is brought to you by the Munder Funds, featuring a full range of Focus mutual funds.
Who would have thought you could turn the waste in our landfills into electric power?
Who would have thought computers would soon be hogging half the U.S. power supply?
Energy demand is at an all-time high. So we created the Munder Power Plus Fund, investing in conventional energy sources plus companies that pioneer